Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics, and welcome back to the show. I know we did have an episode last night. This is my first solo show since the great SilverFest this past weekend, and certainly we will dig into that tonight. Although before I get started, I would just really sincerely, deeply from the bottom of my heart, thank everyone who was involved. Wow, what a special weekend. So many great people participated. It was truly incredible for me to be a part of it. I know a ton of you have sent emails in saying you had a great time, and I'm getting to those. There's quite a big pile. Good situation to be in. So if you did send a message, I'll be getting back to you. And thank you again to everyone who was involved. We'll talk more about it, but to honor tonight's headline, let's dig into the latest silver market activity. Um, One more note for now about SilverFest. While I would say it was largely a great success, so far it does not appear to be the case that any CFTC officials were actually in there learning all the great stuff that our speakers shared that I hopefully you were able to pick up on, even if the CFTC was not, because here you see, actually, even before we get to that, Fed picks its side in inflation debate and sends market a message, no rate hike for years. Well, if you've been watching this channel, you already knew that, fortunately. Although, so basically, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we already knew they were going to keep rates at zero forever, and they just said to 2023, I guess you could say that was actually bearish for gold in some bizarre way. Although more seriously, the last they had said was 2022. So they extended how long they were going to keep interest rates at zero, meaning more money printing. And of course, as you would expect in today's Wall Street markets, that was a big negative for gold and silver. You can see right here, this is the Fed announcement where silver gets pounded about 35-ish cents, let's call it. Shockingly enough, the gold market pounded at the exact same time. Who could have guessed it unless you have eyes and ears and a brain and don't work for the CFTC? Then you probably knew there was a good chance that this might be the case. And we can only wait patiently until the day when markets actually respond in a somewhat logical fashion, where if the news is good and people start buying, the price goes up. Um, Interesting. Again, we see that pattern. I was still catching up on some things, so I wasn't looking too closely during today's silly announcement, but looks like we have that typical let the price go up a bit first before the banks commit a felony and spoof it down lower. You see that in the gold market. You see it a little smaller there in silver, but I'll bet you a few $100 million were made on that little whopper alone. Um, Reminds me of a quick story. My days as an intern on the Merrill Lynch trading desk back in 2004. By the way, if anyone is ever thinking about getting a job with a Wall Street trading bank and you were going to go to an undergrad or grad school program and consider a internship on a trading desk, let's see, how would I describe one of the most uncomfortable I've had my share of uncomfortable experiences in life, but being around a bunch of middle-aged, bipolar, manic depressive white guys, I don't know whether it matters whether they're white or black. Although in this case, most of them are white on the Merrill Lynch trading floor, and trying to befriend people who generally didn't want you there in the first place, and then some of them are kind of little paranoid that you were going to take their job. Not the most fun way to spend a summer. So fortunately, if you do have any kids that are thinking about going to college or an MBA program, that's a new service we're listing here at Arcadia Economics. I won't tell anybody what to do, but if you need me to talk your kids out of a Keynesian $70,000 a year in education, that is one of my specialties. I went to Wharton. I wish I had saved the receipt from that Keynesian economic education, or if I could submit it to the Fed's discount window, would be great. Colossal waste of time, in my opinion, yet primarily because, all right, I'll tell one more Wharton story and then we will move on. But it was funny. Some of you may know Jeremy Siegel, who pops on to CNBC from time to time, channel or their website. And I remember when I was there, all the second year students, they were saying, you know, if you want to get a job in trading, you got to take Jeremy Siegel's class. And what did he teach? Keynesian Economics 101. Interestingly, though, in his, I think it must have been office hours. I remember at one point, this would have been in the spring of 2004, being in Jeremy Siegel's office. There was maybe just like 3 or 4 of us in there, and he mentioned that he was being considered as a successor to Greenspan. Now, I didn't know any of the Austrian economics, or in other words, the silliness of the entire thing back then. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Ironically, in hindsight, he would have been a perfect fit. I don't know if him and Bernanke are brothers. They believed in the same thing. Although it was funny, I remember talking to I actually liked the economist at Merrill Lynch, David Rosenberg, I believe Gluskin Schiff now, or maybe he moved on somewhere else, but was Gluskin Schiff, formerly Merrill Lynch. He actually sounded, it's amazing, he was their economist because he said stuff that makes sense to me, which obviously is not popular on Wall Street. I remember asking him, it was one of his guys about that, and they giggled at it. Although, ironically, Siegel would have fit right in. Nice guy, although, again, just, you know, of that Keynesian mindset that, you know, scares me, and I get as far away as possible. So anyway, if you have a kid that's hooked on Keynesian education, send me a message. We'll try and talk him out of it before it's too late. Or you could just read this great article from our friends at the Silver Investing News at investingnews.com. Here's an article with Charlotte McLeod and also Chris Smith, who runs the site. I'd like to say a special thank you to them. We tried to get them set up with a booth this year. It was a little late by the time we were getting that all set up. But as you know, I've played a couple interviews I've done with Charlotte this year, and Chris, a big Silver fan, supportive of what we're doing. And they were kind enough to publish an article about at the inaugural SilverFest run by Arcadia economics experts David Morgan, Peter Spina, and Chris Marchese weighed in on how to pick silver stocks. So a great article here that you can Google or find in the silver section of the investingnews.com. which obviously I know a lot of you are into the silver stocks, and a nice recap of what was discussed there. Here's David Morgan mentioning, I get information that other people just don't get. How do you do it? You stick around long enough to make a lot of connections and network with people, and you find out things usually ahead of time that others don't know. I'll second that. And one of the things I've enjoyed about going to some of these shows, whether online or in person, is that, I don't know, I mean, if you're trading Tesla or Facebook, I mean, I guess there's a degree to which the information is somewhat uniformly spread. Not the case with mining, and it's a smaller thing. These guys all know each other. So it's one of those things where in a legal way, you can get a feel for who's doing good business, who's pumping something. So anyway, there's a lot of great advice in this article. I won't go through the whole thing now. Don't be weighed down by the past. Ooh, that's a good one. Some of you caught our meditation session at SilverFest, which I thought was a lot of fun, especially because I see the similarities where, you know, as someone who had to change some of my old habits and ways of dealing with things, and you know, where I used to hold on to when I was frustrated or things like that. And whether it's trading or investing, the more that we can say, all right, well, I'm here now. So given this, what is the best thing to do? I think is really a big key to success in investing, which you can read more about here, but again, we had my good friend Peter Spina on there. So here's a couple picks. I think they each gave 3, although Charlotte has listed their top pick for David Morgan, Mag Silver. For Peter Spina, he picked Fortuna Silver, and Chris Marchese picked Silvercrest. So 3 good stocks that I've heard plenty of good things about. I've been impressed with. I think I own all 3 of them. It's kind of fun. I have some new investing dollars, hopefully a little bit of new knowledge. And now that SilverFest is done, would be nice to sneak a little time in there to organize my portfolio. And I think I'm going to buy shares of basically every company that I have had on the show. You know, I really do try and vet these companies before I bring them on. I'm not an expert in the mining stocks or know all of them, but fortunately, I feel comfortable, at least if you're investing, expecting higher gold and silver prices, that you know, most of these companies, again, no one has a crystal ball, but to the degree that at least if I bring a company on here, and maybe that'll be a good rule going forward, that I will own some shares, or if I don't feel comfortable doing so, I won't bring them on. Again, on those interviews, I phrase things as honestly and accurately as I see them. Some of them I'm just learning a bit more about. I do what I can to filter, although use them as information. And again, one last note on the silver stocks, because a couple of people have asked me my picks, and I sometimes hesitate just because all 3 of these guys have a layer of expertise beyond in the silver mining space what I would currently advertise. I'm happy to confidently say what I think is going to happen with silver or gold. I appreciate that you guys sit here and listen and take my opinion. So that's why I don't advertise, well, this is the greatest silver stock because of this. Although with that said, I'm a big fan. I used to go to these marketing workshops, which were kind of Tony Robbins like. A lot of good stuff, some stuff less than good, but there was one, they would mention often, how you do anything is how you do everything. And that stuck with me because I find that to be true. And something that has served me well is that while I'm going to continue learning the mathematical side of valuing these stocks, I have this rule of thumb where go find the person who's running anything, and you're going to have a good profile of how that business might go. So along those lines, I do, you know, I have the benefit that I get to interact with the management teams of a lot of these companies. You know, a lot of the different folks I've talked to, you've heard it on the show. They say the first thing they look to in a mining stock is the management company, or is the management of the company. And I think there's a lot to be said for that because, again, I'm not telling anyone to make their decisions based on it, but I look at how my interactions with these companies go. Do I feel like there's a good flow of communication, that there's a good give and take, and that there's a, I mean, is it someone that I would want to do business with? Which again is not going to determine necessarily whether they have a deposit or not. But when you get to those issues of it's time to deal with the government, that which there's a tricky negotiation where often the governments are going to jam something down your throat that isn't fair. But does the person running that company have the personal skills to successfully get through that? So anyway, that's something I keep an eye on. And as you meet the different folks running these companies, hopefully it could be helpful for you as well. And but I guess it's kind of fun. I'm putting myself through mining stock education and just broadcasting it for everybody at home. So hopefully that's helpful. And let's take a quick look at the silver stocks. Let's see. I got to get Silver Sands in my ticker here. I apologize, Keith Anderson. Keith, who a lot of you met at SilverFest at the Silver Sands booth. And I love the way that guy does things. I couldn't, you know, I can't question his geologist. I don't have that ability yet, but I look at the way things are handled, the way they interact with investors, the way other people speak about them. Um, Certainly Silver Sands and Dolly Varden, who were there, I love the way they do things, as well as Silver Elephant and First Majestic, who was really great. You know, you got to talk with Keith Newmeyer here. He did a great presentation taking questions. They had a booth. Silver Elephant too. If you guys heard John Lee talk, it's really just pretty exciting hearing his passion. And so anyway, mixed day on the silver stocks, but there you go as a quick look. And let us move on. Just as we finish out tonight's video, just a few thoughts. Hopefully a lot of you were in SilverFest. We ended up with over 2,900 people signing up and attending, which again, I just would like to thank each and every one of you for coming. To me, it was really life-changing just seeing, you know, I guess to start and create this thing months ago. And that's, I'm gonna check, but I'm pretty sure we started planning this while silver was still $18 or less. It was before the move. And, you know, just doing it our first time to have over, you know, almost 3,000 people sign up to attend. I thank you all. And again, it seems like a lot of you had a great time. If there's someone who did not have fun, then I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the case and they haven't told me, but I think people had a blast in general. The good news is funny. Someone was saying, yeah, it's like, are you gonna be able to top that next year? And fortunately, I hope this doesn't sound arrogant in the way I say it. I know my strengths and weaknesses. I always have 8 million ideas farther ahead than I've been able to implement. There was a bunch of stuff we had planned for this year that we didn't even get to. So certainly you will see some exciting things at next year's SilverFest, but well before then, exciting to hear many people are already asking for more information about Silver Cruise, which we're going to see if we can find someplace we can get together, take a cruise, do something fun. Maybe when it's really cold in February, get everybody together on a ship who would like to come and do this in person. So also a lot of, I mean, perhaps one of the favorite parts for me was the video software and some interesting ideas, seeing what's possible. You guys will be seeing and hearing plenty more about that as we roll it out. Although, is that a good reason to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell? Right down there below, you know how Dave Kranzler is real good at pointing, right down there in the description field. Or no, it's not in the description field, but anyway, so that's how you can stay posted. A couple of notes here of exciting things. Even Ben Bernanke was at SilverFest, as you can see here. Thinks I'm a good guy, which is nice. Nibbles, my dog, apparently even logged on and created an account. There were multiple accounts. Maybe some of his friends barked on there too. Although that was another one of my highlights. It was great having the ongoing chat throughout the thing. And then we had Ben Bernanke, Jamie Dimon, a couple others sign on, and but all in good-hearted fashion. And it was a lot of fun. And here was a highlight. Nancy Spruell. Jim Willie is tearing up the crowd at his booth as well, spilling out the truth. We did have Jim Willie attend. He had his own booth, so I know a lot of you enjoyed getting to ask Jim your questions, interacting with him in person, which was a lot of fun. Here is the SilverSet broadcast studio that I was working out of from my hotel in Minneapolis. I did eventually eat that apple. I still do. That's some silver right there and there. There's where I was keeping track of all the silver we were giving away. And speaking of which, I can't help myself or stop And all right, I got this one sitting on my desk here. You can see that. Now it is on my floor, but now back in my desk. I don't even know what you call this one, but I've been carrying this around with me for the better part of a couple of years. And let's give this baby away. So if you take the link to this one and tweet it out to @Arcadia Economic and share this episode of the show, we'll pick a winner to give this 1 troy ounce silver trade unit. I don't know what it got me. The justice scales on the back and looks like Liberty on the front. And we'll keep on giving silver away. By the way, if you won silver at SilverFest, hopefully you've gotten your information to Yara, who will help start getting those ounces out there soon. We want to get you your ounces, so let us know. If you did not win silver ounces, please do not say that you did. You don't want that kind of karma, especially with such a great conductor like silver. And given how we are quite grateful that things are, it's really been a blessing to be a part of it, have this as a business now in my life, so that we can keep giving away silver, which we will do. I thought this was great, a sign that we're on the right track. People even tweeting Peter Schiff, get in touch with Chris Marcus this weekend. I'll bet you can spare an hour. I did contact Peter to see if we could get him back on the show. Caught up with him at the New Orleans conference in person the last 2 years. And I believe that will be online again, or this year, a couple of months in October. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up with Peter there. But that's one to put on your calendar, New Orleans Investment Conference. I believe we'll be broadcasting from there too, which will be fun. So anyway, and here, before we wrap up tonight, we got to talk about this one for a second. Okay. This was so darn cool. Some of you saw this at Sprott, but here were the video booths. And I mean, I had a lot of favorite parts of this weekend, but perhaps one of them was that there was one point where I was looking in between the different booths, going to Miles Franklin. There's David Scheckman, Andy Scheckman, talking to a crowd of a couple hundred people. Then in the Arcadia booth or the First Majestic booth, the same thing. And, you know, as I've been growing a business, which is new to me, but really seeing different things that go well, I guess the way I look at it is that if you can put a framework or structure in place that allows people of a similar mindset to be free to contribute their own way. And here it was just fantastic. There is my dear friend Joe, aka Blue Horseshoe, who was really brilliant gold and silver guy, and about the mining stocks. I mean, it was like he was teaching class in here. There's Steve Cope of Silver Viper, who a lot of knowledge. And it was just amazing seeing people interacting, even at a time where I had stepped away completely. And as I've been thinking about just how great that was, and then I was thinking, man, what if we had that every day? I know a lot of you guys aren't, you know, going out doing Jaeger bombs and the line dance at night. And I mean, we're smart nerds. And, you know, what do we like talking about? Gold and silver. So imagine if you're watching this episode of tonight's show and then, you know, you went over to the Arcadia Lounge, and if you had questions or you didn't understand something or wanted to know more about the news, you could go and interact with people that get it, that you can learn from, you can have fun with. So I am already excited that we're talking about some cool things to make this a reality, bring this to you more regularly. So anyway, just thought I would pass that along. No timelines or deadlines just yet, but I think that that would be pretty incredible. And if you think so too, leave a comment below or send a message on Twitter is probably the easiest way at the moment. I would ask for now, do not send emails about this today. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Again, a full email inbox right now, which I am going to be digging into. But just wanted to give you an update on this. I think it will be special, and we will have a time where we'll get feedback from people to do that in the best way possible. But lastly, as you may know, I left Denver about a week and a half ago, drove up to Minnesota, where I've been for the last, let's call it almost 2 weeks, or a week and a half ago, I guess it would still be. But either case, you know, in Denver, you have to wear a mask to go in everywhere. And, you know, I got used to it. I mean, although I guess I kind of assumed everywhere else was just the same as that. Interesting, and when I got to Nebraska, driving through Nebraska, I go into a restaurant, no one's wearing a mask. And then, you know, coming up to Minnesota, where they are even a notch above Colorado, and the number of signs of, you know, how to cover your mouth when you sneeze, all sorts of important stuff like that, truly just incredible. And anyway, just couldn't resist making a quick joke about that. Although I would like to issue a special thank you to the Lowe's Hotel in Minnesota here, which housed SilverFest this year. And even though we're not a lot of people in there, it was nice to have a great home in that hotel, and it's a nice relaxed space to be able to broadcast from. So thank you, Lowe's Minneapolis. And then just the last note as we wrap up, in case you missed SilverFest, I know a lot of people have asked, are things going to be rebroadcast? And yes, they most certainly are. We have I believe it's Frank Holmes coming up tomorrow. Hopefully Friday we will start rolling out these SilverFest panels. It's actually kind of exciting. I think we'll be able to get them all queued up and scheduled for a while, so it would be nice. I would love to take a little break. I love doing this, although I think we've had until last weekend, I think we've had a show every single night for a couple of months. So it'll be great. We'll get all that stuff up there. You can catch what you missed. And also I'll get a little rest in there. Although in case you missed anything and you want the simplest way, here is the Big Silver Short book. Wow, we're up to 58 ratings. Thank you kindly to everyone who has left one there. And again, I think the book lays out as clearly as I could figure out, at least up to that point in time, of how to put this all in context, into perspective. So you can find that on Amazon.com. And that is the Big Silver Short. A lot of the guests from that book were in our party this past weekend. So anyway, we are going to wrap up there for tonight. Thank you again for everyone who joined us this weekend. A lot of great things coming, a lot of great things happening now, and I appreciate all of you. I really do love this community we've created. Feel blessed to be a part of it, and thank you for joining me. So with that said, we'll wrap up. Although again, if you think that it seemed bizarre that gold and silver got pushed lower today, and are looking for stocks that can capture leverage on that, well, we had Rana Vig from Blue Lagoon Resources on last night that has a near-term producer silver and gold project coming up. And if you'd like to find out more about that, well, it is coming your way now.